Welcome to All Villa, No Filler, a podcast all about the world's greatest football team, Aston Villa. Please subscribe to the show, and if you don't, you're a Birmingham City fan, apparently, according to the rules and regulations of YouTube. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Now, it's time for our hot takes. Very, very spicy hot takes. We're used to spicy questions around here, but today we're doing our spicy takes. And we'll also do our predictions for Aston Villa's upcoming season and sort of wider as well within the Premier League and elsewhere. So, will Villa win their first trophy after almost 30 years of hurt? Dare we to dream? George, before we get into that, we're doing a bit of a Freaky Friday today. You know, I'm Lindsay Lohan to your Jamie Lee Curtis, although actually I'm older, so I'm Jamie Lee Curtis to your Lindsay Lohan. It's a bit of a role reversal. But George, how are you doing? How are you getting on?
I'm very well, Frankie. Thanks for asking me. I've been very well. I've had the week off from work, and I've spent it curating my fantasy football team for the season. I've had first drafts, I've had second drafts, I've had fourth drafts, I've had a mini breakdown thinking how am I get Erling Haaland and Salah into the same team? Is it possible? It's not possible. But I've finally settled on my team that I'm happy with. But it's great because it's really got me in the mood for the start of the new season, Frankie. Only 7 days next week, isn't it? The season kicks off.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
Looking forward to it. And we can just get on with our lives again. It's been on hiatus for a long time. The format of the show has been
You've not been talking to your kids. You've not talked to your kid. You're not talking to your wife. It's just 3 months of silence.
Yeah,
staring into the distance.
I've become a hermit. I've lived under a rock, and now I've emerged from the rock, and I feel pretty good. It's been good. I have enjoyed what we've been doing over the summer break in terms of the content for this show. The history of Villa series that we did was enjoyable, but it's time to go back to the bread and butter stuff, isn't it, Frankie? Back to basics.
The things that the people care about. So absolutely, George. So today is going to be like our hot takes, our spicy takes. I hope you've got something spicy lined up because normally with our spicy questions, it's can get a bit hot and heavy.
But
yeah. So George, first question I want to ask you then. We're going to start off on the hot takes. So we're going to do one Aston Villa hot take and one Premier League hot take. Firstly, let me ask you, what is your Aston Villa hot take for the upcoming season? What do you think's going to? What's your sort of slightly maybe dare we say controversial view of what might happen?
Yeah, I mean, so my hot take this season is I think Pau Torres will prove the doubters wrong and prove himself to be an extremely good centre-half. I think last year was a disappointment by his standards. I think he arrived to great fanfare from Villarreal, obviously, the season before, and had a very good first season for us. And I remember saying at the start of last season, I thought Torres would be kind of one of the players of the season for us last year. Didn't quite work out for him. But I think, he did have injury problems last year. That never helps. But he's played regularly in pre-season. I think he's been very, very solid. He's been sort of rattling his saber in pre-season in terms of what he's been talking. He's been talking himself up, been talking the club up as well. He says he wants to go out and win stuff with Villa, wants to go out and win the Europa League. He seems confident, he seems fit, he seems ready, and I just think he's got a very good season in him. And I think this season is when he solidifies himself, hopefully alongside Konza, as a really, really good centre-half, because Lord knows we need to have an improved defensive display across the board for Villa this season. It was really poor, I think, last year. I think this year is when we start to solidify things, and he'll be at the centre of it. So, yeah, Pau Torres cements himself as a proper Premier League defender for the Villa.
And I tell you, if he becomes a statue, it'll be a very handsome statue. A lot of people taking photos next to that.
Turns to stone just looking at it.
Yeah, no, literally Medusa. No, like snakes writhing on his head. Nobody taking selfies with it because they would literally be like, "I can't."
Petrified of the statue. Literally petrified.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, George, my Villa hot take for this season is that 3 Villa players will hit double figures in the Premier League for goals. And my choices are Oliver George Arthur Watkins. I keep forgetting what his bloody middle name is. But King Arthur. King Arthur Watkins. I'm going to say he hits more than 20 Premier League goals. He's sharp. He's fit. He's firing.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would love that. And And he doesn't really have that competition now in the form of like a John Duran or obviously Danny Ings going back. So he is obviously the main man, which he seems to thrive in. He's had a full preseason, as you say. He scored a lot of goals in preseason, a lot of headers.
He has, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'd love to see it. I can see that. Who are the other two you thinking?
So my other two, Daniel Marlin. I think
really, you think double figures for him?
I think he's got the ability to do it. As particularly as an impact player, I feel like he'll come on, score goals in the last kind of 15, 20 minutes. I think he might actually start to tally that up and eventually hits about 10, 11 by the end of the season. Okay. And then my other one, I think you can probably guess it, Morgan Rogers.
Yeah. Okay. I can see Rogers. Obviously Sir Arthur. Sir Arthur, King Arthur. Bloody hell. I'm getting it wrong. It's contagious. And yeah, Marlon. He looked very sharp coming off the bench at the end of last season, and he's looked good in pre-season. Obviously, scored a few goals now. It'd be very interesting to see what his role will be in the team. You know, whether you think, as you say, he's more of an impact player coming off the bench and causing chaos, which he's very good at. But whether he'd be happy in that role, I don't know. But I hope so. That certainly is a hot take. And I think we certainly need to have players pitching in with more goals.
Absolutely.
And not relying on, King Arthur to do it all himself.
Like King Arthur was carrying that round table on his own last season, wasn't he? Quite a lot of the time. There was John Duran at the start of the season, but it felt like other players weren't scoring as many, and it was quite a lot of pressure on him to carry the load. And still got 16 Premier League goals. And you bear in mind that he didn't, a lot of the games early in the season when Duran was around, he only played 60 minutes. Then Rashford comes in another 60 minutes. The fact he's still got 16, he'll play more 90s this season, and if he does, then I think 20's on. I think this is the year for him to do it. He's looking sharp. He's looking fit. He's looking like you, George. Sharp, fit, handsome, all of it. Good finisher. Yeah. I've seen you. Well, you're more of a goalkeeper, aren't you? You're more emulating.
I'm more of a goalkeeper. Yeah. Absolutely.
But you've got a Polish surname, and what was it? Brian Clough called that Polish goalkeeper in the 70s, the Polish clown.
Tomaszewski, a clown. That's right. Yeah, and that's what I am. I am. I'm a clown on this pod. I'm a clown in real life.
And that's the sort of messages we get on YouTube, isn't it? Like, you clowns, you know what you're talking about, mate.
Well, after these hot takes, I'm going to see a lot of clown emojis on the YouTube channel, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. But there we are.
Well, George, I've got to ask you. So we've done one Villa hot take each. Yeah. Now we're doing one Premier League hot take each. What is your Premier League hot take?
Arsenal win the league. Yeah, I just think if I can expand on that, they finally got their striker. Gyökeres, physical, plied his trade in the Championship, very physical league, very demanding league with Swansea, Coventry. Incredible at Sporting. Some people might say, it's the Portuguese league, but plenty of successful players have come from Portugal and Sporting Lisbon specifically. Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, of course. Zubimendi is an amazing addition. Liverpool were desperate for him last season. He's gone to Arsenal. He'll probably thrive under Arteta and within that brilliant squad that they already have. And they have an excellent defence, which I don't think will change anytime soon.
It's a very deep defence as well, isn't it?
Very strong, very deep defence, good squad. And they're going to be hungry after finishing runners-up, a number of times now. I just think this is their year. I know Liverpool have strengthened. I know Liverpool go into it as favourites. But, there's always this feeling of a second season syndrome for the manager potentially, and just retaining a league is a challenge.
Very good point.
So I think for me, Arsenal will win the league this.
I think that's a very. I think yeah, well. Mine is that Villa win it. No, I think that it's. I think people might be sleeping on Arsenal a little bit. You're right, because Zubimendi is a really good addition in midfield. Is it Norgard they brought in from Brentford as well? Yeah. Gyökeres, I feel like
very good squad player.
Yeah, and I think they're generally positions that have improved on what they were missing last season. Noni Madueke, I think 50 million on him was a lot for a player who you tend to think of more on the right wing, and they've got Bukayo Saka there already. It's more the left wing where they really. I think if they'd got a left winger, I'd be like, I really think everyone's sleeping on Arsenal. That's my only question mark, but I definitely think, after Liverpool fans held up that banner in the Kop end showing Mikel Arteta dressed in a bridesmaid dress saying always the bridesmaid, it sort of feels like you might be asking for it here. You might be asking for a bit of trouble here. So, I think that's a very fair shout. But my Premier League hot take, George, Brentford don't go down. That is my one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure we'll come to this later on in the show, but I don't see it. I mean, I know they're obviously more of an established club, and we've said before, and it's often true that the teams that go up are obviously the teams that come down. And I'm not saying that won't be the case this season, but I just think they've been really hit, haven't they? With key players leaving and the manager going. It's tough, isn't it? It'll be tough for them to stay up. You think?
I think so, because the last 2 seasons, the 3 have come up and gone down, and it's becoming it feels like it's on the brink of becoming a bit of a crisis. But I think when you look at Brentford, they look like the most likely, don't they? Where they've lost, as you say, the manager, key players, all that kind of thing. But if you look at Sunderland, you're like, well, Sunderland feel like really like on an uplifting moment. They're, they're kind of, there's a lot of optimism around them, whereas Brentford, it's like there's a lot of question marks. But I would say, I think the only thing with Brentford might be that there might just be 1 or 2 players there that we're kind of sleeping on a little bit. A couple of players that they signed last season who got injured and they signed them for a lot of money, and actually this season turn up. And actually, they're an intelligently run club generally, though I know they've had a change in how they're running the last kind of few months. So maybe, just maybe, they actually have a couple of players there who are actually primed and ready to replace Mbeumo and Wissa, and actually do enough to just keep them in that kind of bottom 5 area. I think they're going to be fighting relegation. I think they're going to be struggling a bit this season, but they might just have enough nous and experience to actually be okay compared to the teams who've come up who might just have it. When the rot sets in, it's really hard to get out of that rot.
I think that's it, isn't it? That's what it boils down to. It's knowing the league and knowing what it takes to survive. And Brentford do feel like a club that are a little bit like Brighton in many ways, that they're interchangeable. That, if a manager goes or a player goes, they kind of have someone already there lined up who can come in and replace them. And I know Mbeumo and kind of Wissa to some extent made their names in the Championship and came up with Brentford and developed in the Premier League to become very good Premier League players. They've got a player called Thiago who's suffered with injury, but he seems to be someone who's going to come in and potentially fill that Mbeumo role, and he could be the surprise package for them, surprise package of the league that could help them, score the goals they need to stay up. They've turned into quite canny operators in the Premier League since they've been in the league, and they were the same in the Championship. They're always a club that seemed very intriguing and doing things differently and successfully. So that can obviously help them out. I don't know. I just think there's only so much a club like that can take in terms of change, and I think certainly if Wissa does go, you got Mbeumo, Wissa, and Thomas Frank going. That feels like too much happening in one window. But who knows? And they have made some good additions. Henderson, obviously, he knows the league, very very experienced, Premier League winner with Liverpool. Kelleher, very good goalkeeper, out to prove himself as a number 1. So they could be okay. But I think it's going to be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm going to move on to Aston Villa. We look at our season. We are all Villa, no Villa. We're not all Brentford, no Rentford, or whatever. George, where do you think Aston Villa are going to finish this season?
I'm sort of quietly optimistic now that the sort of summer transfer window is almost over. Although I think there will be a few other not big changes. There could be some big changes. There'll be some changes, I think, for sure, between now and when the window closes. But I'm going to say 5th.
Yeah,
I'm going to say 5th because I was fully expecting for a lot of the summer that some of our key players would have to go, like some Martinez, Watkins. I know there's still some rumours about him, but I'm fairly sure he'll stay now. Some other players as well, but it looks like we're going to keep the core of that squad together. We're tying players down to contracts as well. I mean, Kamara signing a new deal is as good as signing any other world-class player for me. I think that's an absolutely huge statement of intent. We've got players who were kind of coming through at the end of last season who I think will be big players for us this season, the likes of Onana, Maatsen as well. I expect really big things of them this season. Even you could say squad players now like Luca Dean is an incredible player to have as a squad player, as a left back, fighting for that left back position with Maatsen again this year. And Gesson, who's our big money signing so far this window, seems like a really, really intriguing prospect, can play in multiple positions, which is exactly what Emery likes to see. He looks very physical. He looks like he could be ready-made for the Premier League. will inevitably take some time to settle in. I'm sure a lot of Emery signings they do. It takes a few months at least to get going, but he'll see a lot of game time, and that addresses one of the areas where I feel like we were quite weak. I think we need a couple more signings. I think certainly, and you've talked about this, Frankie. A number 10 and a centre back would really put us in a much stronger position. But I think because we've kept those key players, we've tied key players down to deals, and we're starting now to make additions to the squad. It just makes me feel like, compared to other rivals like Newcastle, who kind of struggled with recruitment and will struggle with Champions League commitments, Tottenham is still a bit of a work in progress. I just think that we feel like the most secure in that part of the table. Top 4 will be a challenge, but I think 5th we can look at.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've gone 5th as well, George.
Very good. Great minds.
And I, exactly as you touched upon when you talked about Newcastle summer, Tottenham. It's interesting because you'd sort of think that Tottenham, Newcastle, Villa, United are all going to kind of, particularly United and Tottenham, are going to make a big comeback this season, and Newcastle are going to continue to challenge. Now, I do think Newcastle will still be there or thereabouts, but it's really negative up there, isn't it? Like, something's really gone wrong this summer.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to a year and a half ago, Dan Ashworth, their sporting director, left, went on gardening leave, went to United, got sacked from there within 6 months. And then they had this Paul Mitchell come in, fell out with Eddie Howe immediately. He's gone within a year. And it feels like there's a lack of coherence behind the scenes off the pitch in a way that you're not seeing at Villa. It feels like Villa have been very, very coherent generally since Suarez and Edens came in. There's been 1 or 2 moments where it's not gone quite right, the Gerrard era, for instance. But that's just the nature of the beast. It's going to not always go right. But it generally feels like Villa are quite a secure unit. Monchi, Emery, Vidigani, very connected. The sort of more business side is focused on what it's doing and raising the revenues. The playing side, people have bought in totally, and it feels like we've not lost any key players at Villa. Yeah. We've not got any drama about Watkins going on strike compared to Isak at Newcastle. We've signed the player we wanted to sign. Newcastle are just shooting and fish in a barrel, basically.
Yeah, we did it. We did it very quietly, very professionally. There wasn't a lot of talk and noise about him. It was literally like we were linked with him and then we signed him literally 4 hours later. Which is again, it feels like just better run, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's the same. I read an article by a Spurs journalist yesterday saying that they're really heavily critical of Joang Lang, formerly of Aston Villa, saying that it feels like Spurs' transfer policy this summer has been quite a bit all over the place again, and it's different positions they're targeting. They've just lost James Maddison. They didn't get Morgan Gibb-White. I think that obviously, Kudus will be an intriguing signing for them. But there's enough for me to believe, with Frank not, he's never had the experience of playing Europe and the Premier League. Newcastle played 10 Champions League games. They played 6 2 years ago and had an injury crisis, and their physical style is not suited to that. The biggest question mark I have is Man United. They're the ones that I look at and think, with no Europe, they can focus all week long playing on Ruben Amorim's new style. They've made a whole bunch of ambitious signings, in 4 positions. They might be the ones who go on a run that comes a little bit.
My hot take for 5th potentially, Palace. I think Mateta is an incredible striker and incredibly underrated, and they've kept Eze. If they keep Eze at the end of the transfer window, I think they could absolutely, because FA Cup winners. I think that's given them that mentality now that they can, they are a successful team.
They beat Villa, City, and Liverpool at Wembley. That's amazing. That's a really brilliant record.
And they've got a top class manager in Ollie Glasner.
Yeah.
So I would say they could also break into that top 5 for sure.
I think they could do, but the problem is their squad is too small. So I think if they get 1 or 2 injuries, I think there's other teams around them that can cope with that better than Palace can. And also they have Europe this season, which is again a new experience for those players, which is why Aston Villa, having 2 years of Europe behind us now and having a manager who's been there and done it in Europe, is really, really a big advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, we had Conference League and qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah,
I will say that. So, it can be done.
We had Champions League, and within a mistake from a referee of getting Champions League again.
Exactly. So you can overstate that impact for sure. But and Glasner is manager who's experienced of competing in in Europe as well with
He's
Frank.
won the Europa League. He's won
And
it.
won the
So I'd
Europa League.
have Palace down to win. We'll find out tomorrow if they're still in the Europa League or if they're in the Conference League. If the Conference League, I think they can win it. Then the Europa League, obviously Aston Villa's knocking them out. Which brings me on to this question, George.
Yeah.
30 years of hurt by the end of 2026. By the end of the season, it'll be 30 years of hurt. Like the England song goes, 3 lines. Is this the year it ends? Can we do it?
I really hope we do, Frankie. I think you have to look at that competition and see us as certainly one of the favourites again. Obviously, as competing in the Champions League last season, finishing top 6 in the Premier League, which is an incredibly difficult league to compete in, probably the most difficult in Europe, maybe the world. We've got an elite manager, we've got top draw players. I think you have to look at it, and a manager who's won that competition 3 times. So you have to look at it. And Palace aren't it anymore. The stars are aligning, Frankie. I think you have to go into it with a belief that we can do it. I mean, Spurs showed last year that you can completely flop in the league, and I'm not saying that we will do this season, but you can, with a team struggling domestically, you can still go and have a really successful European campaign. And yeah, I mean, as you said, we've got 2 years experience now playing in Europe on the bounce, which should stand us in good stead. You should take confidence from some of the results that we had in the Champions League. Okay, we didn't go through against PSG, but we beat them. We beat Bayern Munich. That's got to give us confidence. So yeah, I mean, whether we will win it, I don't. I feel like I can't commit on this show to saying that we will do it, because that will just taint it. But certainly we've got to be, top 3 favourites to win it.
Absolutely.
Surely.
And I think Emery's focus is getting back in the Champions League. I really do, which is why I'm not confident we win something like the Carabao, maybe the FA Cup we go on a run. But Europa League, I just think he's going to be so focused on it. And
that carrot at the end is really important, isn't it?
It's not a manager you want to be competing against in Europe, I think, if you're an opposition manager, just because he's won it 4 times. And he brought Villarreal. We're not a team who'd really won much before. And he went and won the Europa League, beating Man United in the final. So if he can do it with them, we have to be confident and believe that he can do it with Villa. And we've done so well. Semi-final, our first European adventure for a long time in the Conference League. Yes, it's disappointing we didn't win it, but Europe's hard. It's a gamble sometimes. Just some nights it just doesn't go your way. And then Champions League doing what we did, like those experiences have got to give us enough fuel to believe we can go really, really far in the Europa League for sure. Now, a couple of quick fire questions, George. Top scorer this season?
Do I need to say again? King Arthur? It's got to be, surely.
Alex Moreno.
King Arthur, Alex Moreno, Donny O'Marlon. Top, they're going to be
Leander Dendoncker.
Absolutely, yeah. I think they're all going to be banging them in. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Ollie Watkins again. I think we've said it 3 or 4 years on the bounce now. Every time we've asked this question at the start of the season, but as sure as night follows day, it's got to be him. Got to be
how many? How many is he going to score?
In
the Premier League.
Yeah, I will say more than 20. I'll say in the Premier League.
Yep.
21.
21? That's exactly my number. I'm saying Ollie Watkins is going to score more than 20 goals this season. He's going to get 21. And in what I think will be his, building up to the World Cup, wanting to get Tommy Tuchel's, attention. I think this is the year for him. He's looking sharp. He's got a preseason, no competition, more game time. Come on, Ollie, you can do it. Who do you think is going to be our main player? I mean, saying that about Ollie Watkins kind of suggests that he will be our main player, but who do you think? Last year it was Yuri Tielemans. Do you think it'll be Tielemans again?
Possibly. I really hope Onana has a strong season. I mean, I alluded to it earlier that I think that he's been building up to have a big season.
Yes.
It'll be really intriguing to see how he's utilised. I mean, he might sit deeper with Kamara in some games. I think he's got more than enough about him to get forward and be kind of more of a box to box player. He just needs more games. I think last season was interrupted by just sort of fitness issues and also lack of form. Kind of dripped off. Maybe it just took a bit of time for him to kind of pick up what Emery wanted him to do. But again, preseason wise, he's played a lot of games. He's built up his fitness now. I expect him to have a big season. So I think Onana will be someone who will look at and think, yeah, he's had a good season for us.
Interesting. Yeah, I did an episode with Sam Ty recently where we talked about players who were sort of on the up, and Maatsen and Onana were two players we thought could make big strides, as we did with Morgan Rogers as well, actually. But I'm sort of veering towards thinking, Tielemans will have another great season, really solid player. Same again with let's say Rogers. I think Rogers will do even better this season. But I think to myself, our main player, if he stays fit for the first time since he joined us for an entire season, because he's always had long periods out, Boubacar Kamara. If Kamara can stay fit all season, that to me is a real major difference in where we can finish the season, what we can win, because he's just such an absolutely brilliant football player. He's so intelligent in how he reads the game. It's like he's 5 steps ahead of everyone else. In that, like he is where the opposition team has the ball before anyone else has seen it, and I just think Villa are just a much better team when he is at it and he's around. So I think for me, I'm going to go Boubacar Kamara as the main man.
Well, he's the one player that if you feel like, maybe Watkins as well to some extent, I guess, because we don't really have anyone to replace him really. But if you took him out the side, he's the one that we miss the most.
Yes,
I think a lot of other players, you can stick someone in for a few games and they'll do fine. I think if you take him out the side, we kind of fall apart in midfield a bit. So.
Yeah, it's like when we take you out of the podcast, it all falls apart.
It completely falls apart. The shows you do without me is dreadful, utterly terrible,
rubbish. You've unsubscribed multiple times. You're like, oh my god, I'm on this podcast. What is this guy talking about? He keeps mentioning WWE wrestling and Legend of Zelda. So George, and also a question we really like to ask. In pre-season you get to sort of see the hints of who might be coming through, but breakthrough player. Is there anyone that you think might be coming through for the Villa? Do you think this is the year a youth team player gets through?
I'd like to think so. I mean, Bogard is someone that I think will get more game time. If he, again, we're talking before the end of the transfer window. I could see him going out on loan. Actually, all youth players, I guess, you could always say could go out on loan by the end of the season. If he stays, I think Bogard will have more game time, particularly playing in a position that we don't have strength in, which is like centre back at the moment. But I think he's better further forward in midfield. That's just a packed area. It's unfortunate for him that he's probably not going to get much game time there. He might do in Europa, but he's one to watch. I know he kind of broke through last season, but yeah, he'll play more games. But I really like Jimo Aloba. I think again he's been utilised a lot in pre-season. I think he's in the starting lineup against Villarreal tonight, which starts now. So we'll wrap this up and watch that. And he made his senior debut against Wickham, I think it was, as a sub in the EFL Cup, and then he has been on the subs bench in the Premier League. Hasn't made his Premier League debut yet, but he scored and did really well in that 3-1 FA Cup youth win over Man City. He just looks a cut above the other youth players at the moment, and he's an attacking midfielder. That's a position again where I think we could probably. He could get game time. Again, if he stays, probably more in cup competitions, but I think we'll see more of him if he stays at Villa Park this season.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, I think Aston Villa are, we've got the best youth academy in the country right now. The last few years we've had, I think the best academy in the country because we've won the Youth Cup twice now in a couple of years. Won the league last year, beat Man City, who are the other ones who produce players who end up going for 20 million elsewhere. But yes, I absolutely think this is the year where, given the fact that the youth academy is so productive, a lot of our players have made it now in the League One, the Championship. One or two of them have played in the Premier League, like Cameron Archer. I feel like we're sort of overdue one now, kind of sort of breaking through into the first team, and I think Omari Kellyman might have been that. Carney Chukwuemeka was another one who did do that, and he went off to Chelsea, mistake. Kellyman then goes to Chelsea. I think that was unfortunately a PSR thing. But I now look at this team and I think, all right, we can't spend what we want this summer. We've got the Europa League this year. So that probably does present a little glimmer of opportunity to a youth player to show what they've got. And if I look around the youth team, I look at Jim Oloba, and I look at George Hemmings against Marseille as well. And Hemmings, the thing he has at the age of 18, we brought him in from Forest a year and a half ago, is that size and physicality. And that's quite an unusual thing for a player of his age, at 18, to have that. And he'll be a really interesting one to watch, because just watching highlights of him against Marseille, it was like his intelligence to get away from a press, his sort of weight of pass, the vision he had to pass, his calmness on the ball. All of that is like way beyond what an 18-year-old should be able to do, which is why he is what he is. And I think a lot of Forest fans will probably look at him maybe playing for us this season in the Europa League, maybe even the Premier League, and thinking, oh, I'm annoyed we lost him to Villa. And then Jim Oloba, again, he's played up front in pre-season, but every time I watched him for the youth team, I always thought he looks way above it. It reminds me of kind of Chukwuemeka. They're just a level above this youth player team. And when he's played in pre-season...
Another one we played from West Brom, wasn't he?
Yeah. Unlucky Dan Welsh, who is our good friend, who is a big Baggies fan from Erdington, who for some reason everyone else supports Villa in Erdington, but he supports West Brom. Fool of a took, as they say in Lord of the Rings. But Jim Oloba is again, he plays in that Jacob Ramsey role, and what he's done from what I've seen preseason. Again, it's only preseason, but when he comes deep, turns on his and gets away from players, that's like, it reminds me a little bit of Jacob Ramsey when he broke through. It's that sort of a thing. It's just good to see. And I think, in the Europa League, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to come in, Carabao Cup. And if they impress in that, then there's no reason at all they can't start to feature in the Premier League in the way like Carney Chukwuemeka did a few years ago. So I think this is the year that we see a U team breakthrough. But George, I'm going to share screen now. Here we go. This is how interactive we are. We're so futuristic.
Wow,
Single tier list.
I've never seen this before.
Yeah, this is it. It's all changed here. This was the future in the year 2017, but here we are. We've finally caught up. So I've got a list here. It says champs, UCL, Europa League, the rest, and relegated jabronis. So, George, first thing I'll ask you, who's going to win the Premier League?
Well, as discussed earlier, if our listeners are still tuning in, I'm sure they are, of course. Arsenal for me, champions for the reasons discussed. Yeah, for sure. That's it. Well done. I think you're going to keep going with that, which could do.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with that. That makes sense.
So George has the Arsenal. Can you imagine if I shared screen here and it came up as like Pornhub.com? I'm like, oh God, I completely forgot.
Are available.
Or it's your Facebook page, and I'm looking at photos from the year like 2007. You're like, oh, what the? Maybe I should do that.
Just having a nostalgic moment just to myself. Yeah.
I'm just randomly looking at your Facebook page. Yeah. All right. So, other Champions League teams then, who are going to be 2, 3, and 4?
I would say Liverpool second.
Okay.
There they are. I'm going to go Chelsea third.
Yep.
And I'm going to go Man City fourth.
Wow, that low for City. Okay.
Yeah, well, I just think, I don't know, like last season, I feel like the Pep magic is kind of starting to wear off a little bit. I mean, he basically had a bit of a breakdown last year. And the play, I know like Marmoush kind of settled down and did quite well towards the end of the season. I'm just kind of not entirely convinced by the signings they made of Reinders and Cherky, obviously unproven. I think Cherky's got a little bit of a sort of a behavior issue. I think that could flare up at some point. Although he's obviously a very talented player, I feel like, with managers and stuff, things have a natural end. I just think City, if any team actually drops out the top four, I mean, obviously because I put them fourth, but I do see if there's a threat to those four, Man City is the team that could.
Wow. That's a hot take for me.
That's a hot take.
George, I'm literally sweating right now.
Yeah.
I need to go lie down.
If you
go in an ice bath.
If you compare to the other three, though, as I mentioned, Arsenal for their reasons and Liverpool because they've strengthened incredibly well, and I think they'll either win it, and if they sign Isak, they will win it. And Chelsea, I just think they've nailed it. I think Maresca has got a squad there he can really, really work with. They're going to be buoyed by the fact they won the Club World Cup. I know they could be tired after winning it because that was a weird sort of competition and they've had kind of a strange pre-season. But I just think they've got so many players that tiredness just won't be an issue, and they're incredibly strong. Pedro's a great striker. I don't know. I just think they'll finish third. And City fourth. There we are.
Interesting. Okay, so you got Villa in fifth.
Takes everywhere.
You got Villa in fifth. Sixth?
Oh God,
And
because I mentioned them.
I
I
think
am going to.
six is really interesting this season. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am because I just mentioned it. I'm going to go Palace 6.
Wow, George, that
Yeah.
is a serious hot take. Okay.
Honestly,
So,
I think because we're talking about clubs like Villa, the reason why I think they're going to finish fifth is because they're a settled club with an elite manager, and
sure.
I just don't think you can overlook that fact. I think there's so much pressure on Thomas Frank. There's so much pressure now on Eddie Howe, the other clubs that you think are going to be around there. I just think there's going to be slip ups along the way. Newcastle go into the season not playing Isak. I mean, Howe has said himself he
Yeah.
only wants players who are happy at the club. Isak is not happy. Fingers crossed, the first game of the season when we play them, he's not going to be playing. Who's their striker? You know, they've let Wilson go, who, again, it wouldn't necessarily be up to much anyway, but he seemed to always score against us. I'm not sure about the others. Whereas Palace, I think, good team, very good team, criminally underrated still.
I agree with you. I think that Palace have the manager and the first 11 to finish sixth, but I don't think they have the squad to finish sixth that can cope with the Europe. And that's my only thing with Palace. I think
no fair.
that's the only reason. And I just think if Wharton's out for 2 months, I just don't think they have the squad to really
deal with
keep
that.
up the.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. But I'm sticking with it. I think they'll have a lucky season where they don't have too many injuries. They have made some signings this season, and I think honestly, I really think they'll be up there. Then I'm gonna say Spurs.
Okay.
After them,
Spurs. Yep.
because they have made some signings.
Sure.
And then I will say Newcastle after them.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
And
I'll go. Oh God, I'll say United. Then after that,
United.
I think the players will start to kick on then. Then I'll say it's difficult because Forest, obviously, they've now got European commitments, and that might.
I think
be
Forest are going to
challenge.
drop off. I've got Forest way down this season. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Everton, but they're playing in a new stadium, and I think that sometimes that can be weirdly disruptive. But
Okay.
you know what? I'm gonna say Forest will be
Forest. Okay.
Yeah. Then
What I want to know, George, though, is who are your relegated jabronis? I want to know your
relegated
relegated
jabronis.
jabronis. Yeah.
I'm gonna say bottom of Burnley.
Yep. Agreed.
Then I'm gonna say Sunderland.
Oh, okay.
I know we talked
Spent a
about
lot
their
of money.
signings, but I
Spent a lot
just
of money.
think they have spent a lot of money. I'm just not convinced that they just have the nous to succeed. I mean, unproven manager. It's been a long time since I've been in the Prem. I just think because Leeds were in it relatively recently, they've also got a relatively strong squad, big support. I think they have a slightly better chance of staying up than Sunderland, and I am going to have Brentford going down because of the sort of
Brentford are gone. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the best for the rest.
And then the best of the rest, I mean, all a bit of a muchness. I'll say Brighton.
Okay, Brighton ahead of it. Yep.
Brighton ahead of Everton. Then I'll probably put Bournemouth.
Yep.
Then Everton.
Okay, so Bournemouth ahead of Everton. All right.
Yeah. Then Fulham.
Yep.
Then Wolves.
Wolves, sure.
Then Wolves. Then West Ham, and then Leeds.
Then Leeds fourth bottom. All right, mate. I can see that. That's fair enough. Good shout, George. I will download that and I will save it and I will never let you forget it when Aston Villa win the Premier League. So there we go. Yeah, that's downloaded now onto my my computer. Okay, so that is George. Arsenal win the league. Wow. Bottom three: Brentford, Sunderland, and Burnley. Right. Well, I'll just very quickly run through mine. Champions, obviously Aston Villa. No. Do you know? I think people are sleeping on Arsenal. I do. I think that's.
So you think of it like me? Very good, Frankie.
Because I think Arsenal have so much continuity compared to City and Liverpool, and where there's so much change. And Chelsea have the Club World Cup. Now, you were talking about City falling out the top four. I actually think Chelsea are the ones who might fall out, only because I think if Chelsea had not played the Club World Cup, I would be more thinking Chelsea might actually win the league. But the problem is that I look at them and I think you've now got to play 10 Champions League games at a minimum. You've just played the Club World Cup. You've not had a normal preseason. Levi Colwill has already done his ACL. despite the number of players you've signed, that's pretty serious problem in which you could actually drop out the top four. Because by December they could just be exhausted, and they could have like such a weight of injuries to key players that they're just not quite able to carry on. So I actually think Chelsea could fall out of it. But do you know what I'm going to do, George?
Okay, let's see it.
Man City win the league.
You are
Arsenal
Man City
second
in the league. Okay.
Yep. Man City. I think Reinders is a brilliant signing. Marmoush is going to be, I think, one of the stars of the season. Haaland will get more goals. I think Foden will come back. I think defensively, I still have questions over them. Rodri's back. Massive for Rodri to be back. If you're betting against Guardiola to not win the league this season, you're betting against history, because he's never not won the league. You know, if an opposing manager wins the league one year, he wins it the next, generally. Okay. So I think City just come back and do it. And I think Arsenal finish second. And I think Liverpool too much and losing players. I think defensively there might be some vulnerabilities. They've not been asked to question yet when they're competing for the league under Arne Slot. Last year it was a cancer. This year, if they have real pressure on them, Arsenal City probably have a little bit more experience dealing with that than actually Liverpool do, even though they won the league last year. So I'm going City, Arsenal again are the bridesmaids. Liverpool third. I think there's a real chance Chelsea fall out that top four, but I'm going to be conservative and say Chelsea do finish fourth. Villa fifth. I think I'm going to put United sixth. I think United are the ones going to push us the hardest, only because they have no Europe, so they have enough time to work with, the system of Ruben Amorim. And then otherwise, I mean, whatever. I actually think the relegation-wise, I'm going to go my shock one, West Ham.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say West Ham only because I think Graham Potter's not. They've not improved under Potter. They've lost Mohamed Kudus, who's their best player. They've not really added or improved in any way I can conceive of. Yes, they have a strongish, experienced squad. I think there's one or two brilliant players there in Paoletta and Wan-Bissaka. But overall, striker-wise, they've got Callum Wilson, who's an injury-prone 33-year-old. They've got Nicholas Fulkrug, who's in his 30s and doesn't seem to be able to suit their system. I think West Ham are in real trouble this season.
I think that's fair. And
I would switch Sunderland with Leeds. And so I would put Sunderland fourth bottom and put Leeds second bottom, and then put Burnley bottom. Is the way I would look at it, and then Brentford sort of fifth bottom, and then I actually think Forest are going to finish quite a lot lower this season. I think they could be like 14th, 15th, and then I think Newcastle could be down in I think Brighton. I think are going to be the ones to push Villa and United into the Europa League places, and I actually think Spurs and Newcastle are going to fall back because of the Champions League, and something's not quite right at both of them. So that's where I sit on it.
Interesting. So we'll save that then, Frankie.
We'll download that, and no doubt you'll remind me of that for the rest of my life as well.
Certainly will do.
Completely wrong about it.
I'm going to get you to tattoo that entire tier list onto your chest,
onto my forehead. Onto my forehead. That's what it's going to be.
all the badges. Just But we're going to have to extend your forehead. Surgically to put that tier list on.
Absolutely massive bloody forehead. Walking around, you can see him from space, like satellites. Elon Musk is looking down. He'll have another breakdown when he sees
Elon Musk is like, is that Brighton's logo? I can see.
So I'll ask you another couple of quick fire questions.
Okay.
Quick fire. Premier League top scorer.
I'm gonna be boring. Haaland.
I think if Isak had signed for Liverpool a week ago, I'd say Isak. But his season's going to be disrupted. So like you, I'm going to go for Erling Haaland. And I'm going to say 35 goals.
Bloody hell. Okay. Well, I can see that. Well, it would explain why you think they're going to win the league. But I think he'll score a lot of goals, but I just don't think it'll be enough to win in the league. But yeah, I'll say Haaland in the sort of mid-20s. Something like that.
Carabao Cup?
That will be United.
Manchester United don't have Europe. Man United are going to win the Carabao Cup.
Look at us.
They just are. We might as well give it to them now. They're going to win it. FA Cup. It's a gamble in it, but
That will be. I'm going to say Arsenal. I'm going to think Arsenal will double.
Bloody hell, George. It's almost as if we do a podcast together. We're so in sync here. I'm going to say Arsenal as well. I think they're overdue a trophy. You know, they've been there or thereabouts in the Premier League for a long time. I think they have the squad depth to surely make a run at the FA Cup. And I think I could just see them winning it. Champions League.
I'm going to say... Oh, God, it's hard, isn't it? I think Chelsea.
Chelsea?
I think Chelsea might win it. Yeah,
okay.
I do. I just think with their squad depth and the players that they have, I think, I think they'll do really well in Europe. So I'll say Chelsea.
I'm going to go Barcelona. Barcelona win that. I think it's a 6th European trophy, Champions League. Okay, and Europa League.
Villa.
Come on.
I said it.
There we go. The mighty Aston Villa, Europa League, here we come. Can you imagine that feeling? My God, because I live I live sort of halfway between the Arsenal and Tottenham ground. And so I was obviously around here when Spurs won the Europa League. And the amount of Spurs shirts I saw around. And I just think if Villa were to do it, like, oh my God, it'd be mesmerising. Me and you, we're camping out next to Snobs. I've already planned out where we're going to be for the open top bus parade. Firstly, we'll probably be on the bus because they'll be like, let's get these two loser podcasters on because they've suffered enough. Let's get them on.
Well, the thing is, podcasters are everywhere these days. They saturate everything. So I just think, they're everywhere. So we're going to cling to the coattails of everybody else. And then, of course, why would we not?
There's so many podcasters now. We should take the younger ones and put them on loan somewhere. There's a new Villa podcast.
Yeah, send them out on loan.
Put them on loan to Leeds. Put them on to Leeds.
Yeah, you do a podcast about Doncaster Rovers. Leave Villa to the senior pros. Come on.
Put you on loan to Kidderminster Harriers. Come on, you learn your stuff there.
Clean the boots of the other Kidderminster Harrier podcasters. The other
turns out they're like Wayne Rooney level. They know how to film stuff really well, edit things, and we're just us two are like, oh God, we're way out of touch. So all right, and then one of my favourites of this maddest event of the year.
Oh, you know what? I'm struggling to think of. Can I hear? Have you thought about this one? Do
you want to do mine? Okay, I've actually got three. I've got three.
Oh my God. Okay, right. Yeah.
Firstly, Aston Villa beat Crystal Palace in a competitive game.
No,
right?
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Sorry. You got. Listen, I can. Snoop Dogg investing in Swansea. Yes. Palace beating Villa beating Palace. No chance.
Okay. Yeah. My second one. Next year's World Cup is cancelled because Gianni Infantino accidentally sneezes in Donald Trump's food at Mar-a-Lago.
Right, okay.
Folks, he sneezed in my food and I cannot, and therefore the World Cup is cancelled, folks. And the United States wins to give them the World Cup.
Was that just a chance to slip in a Trump impression, Frankie, into the podcast?
Folks, it was. George, crooked George, you're fake news. And absolutely. And then my third one is that a Birmingham City shirt is displayed in the Oval Office. My big fear here is that Tom Brady or Tom Wagner worm their way into the Oval Office and Donald Trump, not having a clue what's going on as usual, will be standing next to the two of them and Tom Brady brings out a Birmingham City shirt and we're like...
with Trump on the back.
Never has that
Trump, what's his presidency number? Is he 43?
He's 47. 47 now.
Yeah, it will say Trump 47 on the back of the Birmingham City.
Christ. I'm telling you,
Can I have
there is that in the past would have been the most insane thing anyone said and we get you institutionalized. Now, that sounds like a genuine thing that might happen within the next week.
I'd put a bet on that. I'd happily put a bet on that. Can I have that one? Can that be mine?
Yeah.
You can have Palace beating Villa. I'll have Trump holding up a Birmingham City shirt with Brady there and Trump 47 on the back.
Did you see that advert outside Villa Park, by the way?
Yeah, I saw that advert,
With has there ever in history been a football club that has not been in the same league as the team they're obsessed with, as you know, for the last 150 years or whatever, for any sustained period, that is obsessed with us to such a level of like, and they made a documentary that was so obnoxious and alienating with characters who were just, again, so obnoxious and alienating that somehow they've probably made everyone who watched it go, oh, I see why Villa fans are so just, who are these guys? Like,
well, my hot take, my hot take is, and I've said this to you off the show, Frankie, is that obviously there's the rival show is Wrexham, and they've gone down the kind of fairy tale, kind of goody, we are the good guys route. And as an antithesis to that, Blues have decided to go down the kind of like, we're the baddies, we're the Peaky Blinders, we're Millwall, you hate us, but we don't care.
Yeah.
That's the sort of vibe they've gone down. And it's worked. So fair play. Everyone hates them.
It's going to look great when they finish 10th this season and everyone hates them. Fantastic. Yeah, never want to see them playing Villa in the Premier League ever again. Anyway,
it'll be tough, won't it, to see that?
Yeah, God no. Because just imagine how insufferable if they're insufferable now in League One to Championship, imagine in the Premier League. Christ. Anyway, George, that is that. We're talking about the Super Aston Villa. We're going to win the Europa League, therefore back into the Champions League. That's our dream for this season.
It's going to happen.
What do you think, George? How are you feeling about your predictions?
I'm feeling relatively confident. I do enjoy this show because periodically over the season I'll listen back to it and laugh at how bad the predictions were.
Yeah.
So for that, from that perspective, I do enjoy doing these shows. But I am genuinely, from a Villa perspective, I am much more confident now than I was at the end of last season and kind of at the start of the summer. I think we're okay. We're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, Frankie. Okay?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We'll be okay. We've got stability. We've not lost key players. We've signed someone who's going to hopefully be quite transformational in Evan Gassond. We've got youth players coming through. There is actually quietly a lot to be excited about with Aston Villa this season. Plus Ian Matson and Onana, one season at Villa, kick on, and Boubacar Kamara's fit. I'd be excited. So, okay, thank you everybody for listening. I've been your host, Frankie Maguire. It was Freaky Friday today. I did George's role, George did my role. Catch you later, George.
Up the Villa, Frankie. Catch you later.
Yeah, I can tell you're not used to that. And goodbye from me. We'll be back again, but until then, come on, Super Aston